All right. Good morning or afternoon or evening or night. What good time? Good time to all who are listening. Um, Welcome to the Spectre of Anti-Blackness podcast. For me, it's nighttime. That's usually when it's usually when these things get into my brain. Um, so anyway, I have these two different things that I wanted to talk about today that are kind of topics that I feel are important, and they also like jive with the general like feel and vibe and like whatever of the show. Um, but they're not really like fully realized enough to have their own episodes. So I'm just gonna talk about them both in this episode, um, which is the one I'm making right now. It's kind of like a little special, little special thing episode. Um, Anyway, those two things that I'm going to be talking about today are, well, the first one is um, about commercials and black people in commercials. And that one I'm calling Jake from State Farm because he's kind of like he's like the crux of the issue. Um, and then the second thing that I wanted to talk about was black, but specifically like African American representation in video games, namely a title that I have a lot of history with, Overwatch. So those are going to be the two topics for today. Hope the video doesn't run for too long. Um, yeah. So let's just jump right in. Let's get into Jake from State Farm. Um, I don't really see commercials too much anymore. Um, Streaming services are becoming real big, and if you're going to use a streaming service, why use one with a commercial? Um, I see commercials on YouTube sometimes, but every time they come on, I groan and I just um, don't look at the screen and I just yell at my phone about how much I hate commercials until it goes away. Um, but I am working at this place, and working at the place, I have time to like watch TV. So I wanted to watch um, Parks and Rec again, which is no longer on Netflix. I don't know why. Um, that's beside the point. Anyway, it's on Peacock for whatever reason. It's only on Peacock, um, which they have free service, asterisks there, but whatever. Free for I got my use out of it. Um, but ads, they put like actual commercial breaks. Um, and boy, oh boy, if the commercial does not feature only black people, it features chiefly black people or a black person, or it has at least one black person in it. Um, all commercials, man, not just in February. This was in January, and it's not like it was like connected to me like algorithmically because it was a new account and I was on a work computer, like anyway. And at the heart of this um new age of commercial is Jake from State Farm. I'm sure everyone knows Jake from State Farm. He used to be, they had that one commercial. He's like a goofy looking white guy. Um, his the guy was at home and he's on the phone with Jake and his wife thinks he's cheating, but he's not. He's talking with State Farm. That's like kind of the commercial that made Jake a big thing. Um, Anyway, he's black now. Not like in blackface or anything. Like it's a completely new guy. Um, but not a new guy because it's still Jake from State Farm. They didn't give him a new name or anything. It's just still Jake from State Farm, and that just feels so incredibly ridiculous to me. Like, why is it still Jake from State Farm? Why not make him another guy? Why turn Jake from State Farm into a black dude? And why is it just black people in commercials now? Like, it feels weird. I don't know. The world is not where we want it to be as black people. Um, you know, things aren't as they should be quite yet. Still getting murdered in the streets. Um, Slavery is still a thing, depending on how you look at that. Um, Another topic for another day. I know that's kind of a bomb drop, just like in the world right now, but I'm doing it. Um, yeah, shit's not nice right now. On a large scale, I would say. Um, but it's like, hey, fucking commercials. Someone should buy shit. Like, look, hey, it's. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to feel redundant about. I mean, I'm sure people can probably guess why I have an issue with it, but it's also hard for me to pinpoint. Something about it just feels real greasy and nasty, and I'm not a fan. Um, yeah. I guess I should backtrack a little bit and talk about what I just said about slavery just now. I don't want to just leave that there with no context. Um, well, 13th Amendment, I'm sure everyone already knows about. You know, abolishes this. It abolishes this. Sorry, it abolishes slavery, except for as a crime. So, like, if you're to do a crime and you go to the jail, you'll become the slave. Which and then we have all this, you know, throwing a bunch of people in jail. The I can't think of the word. I'm sorry. It's a downside of I was recording these really late at night. My brain is a little sleepy timey. It's a little foggy. Um, so I can't think of the thing I'm trying to think of. But it's they threw everybody in prison. There's a word for it. I feel like it's like over something. Um, anyway, I don't want to get too like stuck on that. Um, so that's the one aspect of slavery still existing in our time, and then the other one is just plain old capitalism. It's like initially, like back in the day, it was like a slave was directly connected to a master, right? But then now today, it's like not like there's this added layer of money, but there's still no choice in it. There's like this illusion of choice, like, oh yeah, you don't have to work if you don't want to, but it's not really a choice if the other choice is like, you know, death, essentially. It's like, yeah, you don't have to work for the man, but how else are you gonna have a house and have food and other things that are necessities? Um, so that's what I meant by slavery is alive and kicking. And I know that's not really it's a tangent, but I felt it necessary. Mostly because I don't know what else to say about this commercial thing. This would have been, I feel like, a good topic to like have someone else to talk to about. Um, but I don't yet. We'll get there. And I wanted to make this today, so here we are. Next one. We're chugging along. We're moving right along. This one I feel like I have more to say about anyway. Um, and it's I don't know what to call this one. That one was easy. Jay from State Farm. This one was no I guess I'm gonna call it only culture blacks, and I know that African Americans have culture, but I feel like no one else knows that. Especially white people don't. Even though, surprise, it's America. But one step at a time. Give me a second to collect my thoughts. Um, So yeah, there is this game you might have heard of. It's called Overwatch. Came out in 2016. Very fun game. It's a team-based shooter, where you work as a team with five other people. It's a team of six v six, and you either capture a point and hold it, or you push a payload and that sort of thing. Attack and defense. You push a payload or you stop a payload from being pushed. You fight over a point, that sort of thing. There's tanks. There's healers. There's damage dealers. There's all this sort of thing in the game, and it's a fun game. It's a very popular game. And a nice part of the game is it's like really focused on the character part of it. Like they're not just like generic characters, they're very life-like and lively, and they're like characters. They're like they've got feeling to them, and they all come from these different cultures, and they have these different outfits that you can get, and voice lines, and all these different things that help celebrate them as people, and then their characters and their traditions and their cultures and heritages and that sort of thing. And it's very cool. You got actually, I think you have multiple different people from Africa, or when they got one guy and then the other one's a robot. So I don't know if she counts. But she was made by a little African girl. Um, so that's cool, I guess. But you've got like a big buff burly strong Russian girl. You've got like gay British girl. Or lesbian. Sorry, I don't want to use the wrong terminology. I don't know if that makes a difference. You've got a Brazilian guy. You got an Indian lady. There's tons of there's like a French one. There's lots of stuff out there. And it's very great and it's very cool. But something that I noticed, and I noticed it with Overwatch because I play a lot of Overwatch and I've sunk very many hours into Overwatch. But I've noticed it in most other games too. There's no black character, no African American character. But there are like other black characters, mind you. They got a French guy who's black. They got an African guy who's black. They got a Brazilian guy who's black. They don't have just a black guy or even girl. That would be fine too. And I think I might know the reason for this. I think the reason why they don't have a black person, like an African American person, is because white people don't understand our culture. They don't really see us as either they don't see us as having one, or they don't understand it to the point where they can't really make a character about it without like it seeming like they're making fun of us or being racist. Or maybe they just don't care or don't think our culture is established well enough, even though our culture is America. Black people have essentially built America and everything in it. But, I don't want this episode to be too black preachy. You know, even though I'm definitely all for it, but I don't want to jump too far into that pool just yet. You know, but I can see, the guys over at Blizz like, oh well, what are we gonna do? Fucking make him a gangster? Like we can't do that. Even though, like, come on, we're more than that, and I know that, and you know that, but I don't think they do. But when the game first came out, so check it. It had like 20 odd characters. I don't remember how many, but there were a lot. In the original release, there was one black. Nope, sorry, there were two black people. There's Symmetra, who was an Indian lady, which is, she's dark. Not African, but Indian, that she's like, whatever. That's why I didn't count her the first time. But there was a guy named Lucio who, if you ask me, I feel like in the beginning of the game he was racially ambiguous. They didn't really know where he was from. They just knew he was a black guy. Um, because every other character, like, they'll say hi in English, but then they also say it in like their own language and other abilities that they say and that sort of thing. And he never did that. He just said it in English. Then after a while, he started saying stuff in Brazilian. They do have their own language, right? Brazilian. That's. I hope that's right, and I'm not wrong about that. But he is from Brazil now, though. And he says stuff in his specified language, and this whole thing. But he used to not. But anyway, there was at first. I'm seeing now there are first 21. I was looking up while I was speaking. There were 21 original characters. The first one that got released was she's like an Egyptian girl. She's dark, but again, she's like foreign ethnic. And then there's Sombra, who's also dark, but she's Mexican. Then there was the African robot. Then there was the African man who's black, but he's African. Then there were 2 white ladies, a hamster, another white lady, and then there was a black guy coming out. I was like, come on, this one, he's got to be fucking like African American. Because by this point, the game had been out for 3 years. And I'm like, yo, come on, they haven't had the black guy yet. But no, he's French. And then there's a white guy, and then there's another robot. And then there's a girl who hasn't been released yet, but she's black. I don't know where she's supposed to be from. But she might just be American, which will maybe negate the entire point of this video. Sorry, did I just call my podcast a video? But either way, even if she does, she's supposed to come out with Overwatch too. But even if she does end up finally being like an African American, like, why did it take them fucking, who knows when that game's gonna come out? Maybe 2023, I think they're shooting for. Why did it take them, like, how many years is that? Like 7? Why did it take them 7 years to finally come out with a, like, African American character? Why did it take them so long? And will she really, be able to, will she really, like, fit? Will she really be African American, or will it, like, will her culture not show at all? Do they know what culture to show? Do they not? And Overwatch is a really cool game for a lot of people because, not a lot of games showcase so many different cultures in these different and unique ways. And it's cool to be like, oh, I'm from wherever and I play this guy who's also from there, and like, I feel special. I knew this guy in high school who really liked Hanzo, this Japanese archer bull, because he was Asian. He really digged Hanzo. Also because he liked to shoot bows and arrows, but I never got that with anyone. Not in Overwatch, and pretty much not in any other similar kind of thing. Have I gotten that from any game? No, can't say that I have. No strong black protagonist that I can think of like I can actually identify with. Either their skin is dark and like they're not, it's like an alternate world where like it doesn't matter, or like they're an insert character like in Skyrim where you can just make their skin dark and it has no bearing on the game at all, or they're like a stereotypical like CJ from GTA. Yeah, I do know that there is that game coming out soon that I've spoken about before, but I don't have high hopes for it. what's it called again? It's the one by Square Enix with the black girl. Um, Bespoken, Forspoken, something. Yeah, Forspoken. Um, we'll see what that one has to offer. But aside from that, that's my mini-sode. Or I guess it wasn't mini. I guess it's actually kind of long for how long my podcasts usually go. But that's my special episode for the day. Thanks for listening. Um, Hope you had a good time. I'll see you next time on my, yeah, have fun. And I hope, I pray that there is nothing in your eye that's like, like you didn't get anything caught in your eye and your eye really hurts and you can't get it out. I pray that hasn't happened to you and you can appreciate the feeling of having nothing in your eyes.